Basketball is the first sport that I started doing when I was 6 years old. The first present that I remember getting was a ball and a hoop. And I think that's why we have a special connection with basketball. I think it's quite different. I think it's intimate. Think about it, the court is small, 50 feet by 90 feet. Players are always close, they're always connected. There's literally no escaping the action in basketball. You can't hide away in a position far away like in soccer or in American football. You're always involved and you're always adjusting. And I think this makes basketball the most intimate game. And I believe this intimacy changes everything. Basketball forces us to see each other. Teammates, opponents, and spectators, they're all part of the same shared space. You see the effort, determination, exhaustion, and triumph on every player's face. There is no equipment to shield you from anything. There are no pads, no helmets, no nothing. It's just you, your teammates, and the game in that shared space. And in that shared space, basketball becomes a reflection of something bigger, life itself. Like, think about it, our planet feels more divided than ever. Climate change threatens our future. Inequality leaves billions while a small few grow wealthier. Political polarization creates conflicts instead of solutions. People feel isolated, lonely, and disconnected, even in the age of constant digital connections. And I'd say it's easy to look at these problems and wonder, how do we fix this? How do we find a common ground? How do we bring people together again? Can something as simple as a game, a hoop, a ball, and the court can actually help save the world? So, according to David Hollander in his book, How Basketball Can Save the World, the answer is yes. He makes a powerful case about basketball being not just a game, but also a philosophy. Through its structure, its culture, and the way it is played, basketball guides us with some principles that we need to tackle today's biggest problems. It shows us how to cooperate, it shows us how to embrace diversity, and it shows us how to adapt to change. Hollander's book outlines 13 guiding principles for us, inspired by the game and its inventor, James Naismith. Each principle offers a new way of thinking, a new way of solving problems, not just in the court, but also in life itself. So let's ask again, can basketball save the world? The first principle of Hollander's book is cooperation, the foundation of the game. Think about it, basketball really does require cooperation. Unlike sports where one player can dominate for long stretches, basketball demands that you share the ball, move together, and trust your teammates. James Naismith, the inventor of basketball, understood this from the very beginning. When he wrote the original rules in 1891, he made one radical decision. Players couldn't run with the ball. Instead, they had to pass. And this single rule transformed the game into a model of interdependence. If you want to score, you have to work together. And basketball is full of moments that showcase the beauty of this cooperation. Pick and rolls, give and goes, and help defenses. These moments aren't about individual glory, they're about making the right play for your team. So the first example, and you can be sure that you'll be getting a lot of them in this video, the winningest player in NBA history, Bill Russell, he has 11 NBA championships. He wasn't a flashy scorer. Instead, he focused on rebounding, blocking shots, and playing defense. All the things that helped his team win. And when he was asked about how he would stop Shaq, one of the most dominant forces ever in basketball, he didn't hesitate. He said, "I wouldn't, my team would." To him, basketball was never about individual success. It was always about the collective. He believed that a team working together could overcome any challenge. In a world full of conflict, competition, and division, cooperation is essential, and it's more important than ever. And David Hollander argues that basketball can teach us this. We are better when we work together. At the end of the day, on the court, cooperation isn't optional. It's essential. And the same goes true in life. Whether on the court or in life, you can't win alone. When we pass the ball, when we trust our teammates, and focus on a collective goal, we can achieve something much bigger than ourselves. And that's cooperation, that's basketball. So, individual talent matters. A single player can hit the game-winning shot, block the game-saving layup, or carry the team with a stellar performance. But as I said, no player can win alone. Even the greatest players rely on teammates, their trust, and the collective effort. Basketball is a game that demands this balance between the individual and the collective. It forces its players to ask, do I take the shot or do I pass? Do I drive to the basket or create space for someone else? It's a delicate dance, it's a negotiation between the personal ambition and team success. And Hollander describes it as a perfect metaphor for life. To succeed as individuals, we must honor our own skills, talents, and instincts. But to thrive as society, we need to contribute to something larger than ourselves. Another example, and I find this quite interesting because I learned this about in the book. 5.9 points and 5.2 rebounds a game. Is this a player who you think deserves his jersey being retired? Because OKC did just that for the first time in their history. They retired Nick Collis's jersey, number 4, and it's not because he's the cornerstone of the franchise. Absolutely not. Not because he's the most talented ever. He literally played on the same team with 3 MVPs, KD, Russ, and Harden. His jersey is retired because he sacrificed himself by doing dirty work, grabbing rebounds, setting strong picks. He contributed to something much larger than himself, although he's 6'10". Strength in numbers, the Warriors' motto during their dynasty run starting from 2015. They literally have the best shooter ever on their team, Stephen Curry. And we all know that he can take over a game by his individual talent. But everyone who knows that it's not what makes Warriors special. What makes Warriors truly special is how they combine Steph's individual brilliance with unselfish collective basketball. Klay Thompson, for example, spaces the floor, ready to hit a catch and shoot three. Draymond Green sets screens, moves the ball, and plays elite defense. Andre Iguodala sacrifices his scoring for doing little things like, again, defending, rebounding, and occasionally coming off from the bench, leading the bench unit. The Warriors' motto, strength in numbers, is indeed a reminder that individual talent shines brightest when it serves the collective good. And David Hollander again argues that much of world's dysfunction comes from losing this balance. When individual ambition takes over, when people only think about themselves, we see division, inequality, and competition over cooperation. But when we focus solely on collective without valuing individual potential, we lose innovation, creativity, and freedom. Basketball teaches us that the answer lies in balance. Individual brilliance and collective success are not opposites. They are indeed partners. And when they work together, we can achieve something extraordinary. So although individual brilliance and collective success are not opposites, basketball indeed is a game of opposites. Strength and finesse, power and precision. But again, to succeed you need both. Force gives you dominance, skill gives you grace. One without the other is incomplete. But together, they create something beautiful. Let's go back to our friend Shaq, one of the most dominant players ever in NBA history. At over 7 feet tall and 300 pounds, Shaq used overwhelming force to control games. He bullied defenders in the paint, shattering backboards and dunking with such power that it seemed unfair. But here's the catch. Shaq's force wasn't enough. Defenders would foul him intentionally, knowing that he would miss. And even Shaq admitted, I could dominate with my size, but I knew I had to develop more skills to stay on top. So his story shows us that force can get you ahead, but skill is what sustains you. So on the other side of the spectrum is Stephen Curry, a player who redefined the game through his pure skill. He doesn't rely on force. He's not the biggest or the strongest player ever, but his shooting, ball handling, and movement make him one of the most unstoppable players in history. His skill allows him to score from anywhere and bend defenses to his will. His success proves that skill can overcome size, strength, and physical dominance. And again, this balance between skill and force isn't just about basketball, it's about life. Hollander argues that many of the world's problems come from the imbalance between the skill and force. Too much force, we see aggression, chaos, and destruction. Too much focus on skill without action leads to inaction, passivity, and missed opportunities. Basketball reminds us that the greatest success happens when we balance the two. Force, which gives us power, and skill, which gives us direction. Together, they can achieve extraordinary things. Basketball shows us that if we balance force and skill on the court and in life, we don't just survive, but we thrive. So the fourth principle is positionlessness. Especially nowadays in basketball, roles are not fixed. The game rewards players who can adapt, switch, and do whatever their team needs, regardless of their position or size. This fluidity isn't just a strategy, it's a powerful model for life. Positionlessness teaches us to break free from rigid roles, expectation, and limitation. Positionless basketball changes the old labels of the game. Center, forward, guard. Traditionally, these roles define what a player could do. Centers usually stayed under the basket, and guards stayed outside. But basketball has evolved. Today, the best teams embrace versatility. Every player can shoot, pass, defend, and lead. We have positions like point centers now. As David Hollander explains, positionlessness celebrates adaptability. It rewards players who don't limit themselves and encourages everyone to step into new roles as needed. Kevin Durant, for example, at 7 feet tall, he plays like a guard. He can handle the ball, he can shoot threes, and drive to the rim, all with the skills of a player half his size. And his versatility makes him nearly unstoppable. And then there's Nikola Jokic, the reigning MVP of Denver Nuggets. He breaks all the stereotypes what an old big man should be. He doesn't just dominate in the post. He's the team's best passer. He runs the offense with his finesse and his vision. These players prove that basketball isn't about sticking to one role. It's about stepping outside the box and doing whatever it takes to help your team win. But positionlessness isn't just about basketball. It's a principle that we can apply to the real world. For too long, society has forced us into some rigid roles. You're an engineer, so you can't be creative. You're a leader, so you shouldn't be vulnerable. You're an artist, so you can't understand business. But life, just like basketball, rewards adaptability. The most successful people today are often the most versatile, people who refuse to be limited by boundaries or any limits. David Hollander argues that positionlessness is the mindset we need to solve today's world challenges. In a world that's constantly changing, sticking to one role or one identity holds us back. Basketball teaches us that we don't have to be defined by one position, one role, one skill, or one path. Instead, we can adapt, contribute in a new way, and discover our full potential on the court and in life. So on to the fifth one, a little bit of science, if you consider alchemy science. But anyways, so now what does alchemy mean? Historically, alchemists tried to transform base metals like lead into something extraordinary, like gold. And I'd argue basketball is quite similar to this. The game transformed individuals, each with their unique skills, background, and flows, into something far greater, a team. This is the magic of basketball. It transforms a group of individuals into a collective force. A perfect example of human alchemy is 2004 Detroit Pistons. They weren't a team of superstars. They didn't have like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant in their team. Instead, they had a group of players who complemented each other nearly perfectly. And with that, each one of them brought something unique, and then they became an incredible force. So Chance Billups was their floor general. Undrafted Ben Wallace brought defense, rebounding, and an unmatched toughness. Rip Hamilton with his mask was the tireless scorer, constantly moving from left to right, trying to make sure that he's open for every shot. Tayshaun Prince added length, versatility, and key defensive plays. Like when I was watching NBA TV when I came back from school, one of the fond memories that I have is his block against Reggie Miller. An amazing play overall. Together, they defeated a Lakers team full of legends. Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Gary Payton, and Karl Malone chasing rings. They won against this legendary team, not because they are just superstars, but because they had embodied the human alchemy. They trusted each other. They sacrificed for each other. And then they proved a team is more powerful than individual talent alone. Again, this principle is not just about basketball. It's a principle that can transform society. The world is full of different individuals who can bring different talents, experiences, and ideas. Alone, one might seem ordinary, but when we work together, we can create something extraordinary. David Hollander reminds us that human alchemy is a lesson for life. We are stronger together than we are alone. Basketball started in a gym in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1891. But today, I'm a Turkish guy who's living in Ireland talking about basketball. It's a global phenomenon. You'll find basketball courts in the rooftops in Tokyo, in playgrounds in New York, and in villages where a hoop is nothing more than a crate nailed to a tree. Basketball transcends borders. It speaks a universal language. It connects people across cultures, religions, and languages. And that's exactly what the world needs right now. So, what makes basketball different? I'd argue it's accessibility. Unlike other sports that require expensive material or big fields, basketball is simple. All you need is a ball, a hoop, or something that resembles one, and a space to play. This simplicity made basketball a global game. From the streets of Manila to the courts of Barcelona, basketball brings people together. It doesn't matter where you come from or what language you speak. On the court, the game itself is the common ground. Let's look at last MVPs. Jokic is Serbian. He was racing with SGA, who's Canadian, and Luka Doncic, who is from Slovenia. Before him, it was Cameroon-born Joel Embiid, and before that, it was the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo. These players prove that talent knows no borders. And basketball influence isn't just about stars or championships. It's about connection. Programs like Peace Players International use basketball to bring people together in some of the most divided places on earth, like Northern Ireland, Israel, and South Africa. In these regions, where cultural and political division run deep, basketball builds trust. Kids who might see each other as enemies become teammates. They share passes, they celebrate together, and they learn cooperation is more powerful than division. Basketball shows us that connection across borders is not only possible, but it's necessary. On the court, players from different languages, countries, backgrounds work together seamlessly, and they share only one goal: to win as a team. Imagine if you approach the world challenges like this. Imagine if we saw our differences not as barriers, but as strengths. Basketball gives us a model for a more connected, collaborative, and a united world. Basketball reminds us that the world is not as big as it seems. A game invented in a small gym has become a bridge between people, countries, and cultures. It's proof that connection is possible even in a divided world. When we play basketball, we speak a universal language, a pass, a shot, a celebration. These moments need no translation. It's basketball that connects us. It teaches us that we are more alike than we are different. Basketball doesn't change its rules based on the gender. The court is the same size. The ball is slightly smaller in the women's game, but the skills, teamwork, and strategy are identical. Players like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, and Brianna Stewart have proven time and time again that basketball brilliance knows no gender. Sue Bird, a four-time WNBA champion, once said, "The game is about skill, vision, and teamwork. None of these are exclusive to men or women." These players, they inspire. They prove that basketball is not just for one group, it's for everyone. Basketball is also a platform for breaking barriers. Take Becky Hammond, for example. After a legendary career in WNBA, she became the first woman to coach an NBA team when she coached San Antonio Spurs in 2020. Her success shattered ceilings and challenged stereotypes about leadership and gender. Today, she continues to inspire as the head coach of Las Vegas Aces, where she led them to their first WNBA championship. And basketball's gender inclusivity isn't just about professional leagues. It's changing lives around the globe. Programs like Hoops for Hope and Basketball Without Borders give girls access to basketball in places where opportunities are limited. For many, the game becomes more than a sport. It becomes a path to empowerment, confidence, and equality. David Hollander argues that basketball's inclusivity offers a model for the world. For too long, society has placed limits on people based on gender. Women can't lead. Women can't compete at these levels. Women can't do this, can't do that. Basketball rejects all of it. It challenges stereotypes and shows us what's possible when we open doors instead of closing them. It is a game for everyone. It is a game where skills speak louder than stereotypes. A game where leadership, talent, and effort know no gender. If we bring that same mindset to the rest of the world, opening doors, breaking barriers, and leveling the playing field, we can create a future that is more inclusive. Hello guys, so this is Future back here. I hope you liked the video. I'm currently editing the second one and it should be out soon. If you're interested in sports culture, history and business, you can consider subscribing. And I hope I see you in the next one. Take care.